In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we are coloring conversations on the canvas of America. Tonight's special guest is Miss Cheryl Blakeney. Cheryl Blakeney is a New York native now residing in Orlando, Florida, is driven by God-given passion to help others. For 25 years, she has dedicated herself to mentoring young women, empowering them to achieve their educational goals through a scholarship program. With over 4 decades of experience in the financial services industry as a senior accountant, Cheryl's passion for numbers empowers her to simplify complex financial concepts for her clients. Recognizing the importance of financial literacy, Cheryl pursued a career in finance almost a decade ago as a financial education specialist. She is committed to sharing her financial knowledge through various platforms and venues. Everyone deserves access to financial education, not just the wealthy. Cheryl is passionate about sharing her financial knowledge and empowering others. As the owner and founder of Financial Fitness Consulting, LLC, she believes in the power of financial literacy. Her motto, financial fitness is like muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. It reflects her dedication to helping individuals build strong financial foundations. Cheryl seeks to collaborate with local businesses, nonprofits, and churches to empower, equip, and educate their clients, congregations, and employees with the knowledge and tools they need to achieve financial success and build a bright future with clarity and confidence. Celebrating 38 years of marriage, Cheryl is a devoted wife and a cherished mother to 4 adult children, 3 wonderful grandchildren. She holds a degree in accounting and a licensed insurance broker in 16 states. In her free time, Cheryl is passionate about volunteering, empowering others, making an impact in her community, and enjoying life to the fullest with her family. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Cheryl Blakeney.
Hi.
Hello, young lady.
Hey, yep. Hello, Mr. King. How are you this evening?
I'm doing just excellent. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, is there anything you'd like to add before we get into the show?
Nope, Dad, you covered everything, sir.
Well, okay. Let's start with your entrepreneurial vision and leadership. Can you tell us what inspired you to take a leap into entrepreneurship?
Well, it was almost a decade ago, and I'm what we call a dualpreneur. So I still work a full-time job, but I wanted to leap into entrepreneurship because I love to help people. So actually, I was invited to a presentation. My friend said, "You're gonna get to help. You're gonna get to help people with their numbers, with their budget." I'm like, "Sign me up." That was all she wrote, and that was almost 8 years ago. Didn't think about it or anything.
Well, we got there's a young lady here, Erica Adair. She wrote in the chat, "Hello."
Okay. She's actually one of my business partners.
Okay. So can you describe the moment you realized your business could create generational impact?
I think I realized that, like I said, I was blessed with this information when it comes to financial literacy. And I think I realized the impact when people didn't understand the basic of their finances. So that impact to me, knowing that I made a difference because I've been in the corporate world for more than 4 decades, helping companies with their accounting, their balance sheet, their profit and loss statements. So my impact now, I just want to reach the ordinary person, the mom and pops, the single mom, the single dads, the families, just to kind of give them a basic foundation when it comes to their finances.
And that's so admirable because that's what we do. That's what this platform is about. And so, I mean, so can you tell us, like, when just thinking to leave corporate America and to do your thing and to make this impact on the communities,
Okay.
what was that motivation or that inspiration that said, this is what you're going to do?
Okay. Well, I'm still in corporate America, which I love.
Okay.
But I'm a dualpreneur. Corporate
Okay.
America and my full-time, part-time business.
Okay.
So I haven't jumped over completely, but I love what I do. For me, it's just being able to give back and make a difference. Especially in the Black community, we don't know what we don't know when it comes to our finances. And like I
Right.
said, I was blessed with this information almost 10 years ago. I love numbers. I love math. Doing a budget, that comes easy for me. But for some people, when you talk about numbers, it's a scary situation. So I want to make it as easy as possible for them to say, you know what, I can do this, because people kind of shy away when it comes to numbers.
Right. Yeah, that they do.
hmm
What values got your leadership style as a founder?
What values for me is my integrity, my honesty, my loyalty. I think that makes such a difference. They always say you do business with people that you know, like, and trust. And I want to have all those factors: likability, knowing and trusting that I'm giving them the correct information.
Mhm. So when you think about that,
Mhm.
like, how do you establish these wonderful relationships with the people in the community that you work with, as well as the people that you work with in corporate America? How do you reach out to make this happen?
You know what? I'm a people person. And so it's really easy for me. I think I'm very personable. I can meet you in the supermarket. I can meet you at the gas station. I'm just a very outgoing person. So it's just really easy for me. I do a lot of connections on LinkedIn. I have another platform called Alignable. I do connections there. I love to network, in-person networking, because it's more up close and personal.
Mhm.
But I just love to meet people. That's just who I am.
So, how do you balance innovation with sustainability in your ventures?
Well, innovation now with AI and ooh, it's kind of scary, but you got to keep up with it. But you use it as a tool, especially AI. You use it as a tool to make yourself more marketable as well. So
Mhm.
innovation is going to change. I mean, when I started this business, I mean, we didn't have Zoom, so now I can reach more people. Instead of just in the state of Florida, I can reach more people literally across the United States.
Right.
So it's really important that you keep up with innovation and technology, because you need to be on the forefront when it comes to making sure you have all the tools necessary for you to sustain your business.
So, what can you tell our listeners
Mhm.
when this thing about AI? Because for people like yourself and I, when AI was really becoming prominent a few years ago,
Mhm.
it was like put out in articles all over this country, like day after day, that they're
Mhm.
coming for the financial sector, especially
Mhm.
the accounting arena.
Mhm.
What can you push back on that as to the misconception of that?
Okay, well, all companies, they're going to need an accountant. I don't think AI is going to take accounting jobs. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
Because when it comes to accounting, it's a lot of ticks and ties. You got to balance. You're missing a penny. You got to make sure you balance. So I don't,
Yep.
I don't think AI is going to take over accounting. You
Mhm.
know, maybe other sectors, but when it comes to accounting is so detailed, and you just got
Right.
to make sure you dot your I's, you cross your T's. So for me, AI, it might help you as far as, writing reports, like financial reports. But as far as the ins and outs of accounting, I don't think AI is going to take over accounting, as far as accounting positions at all. That's my personal opinion.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what challenges did you face as a Black woman entrepreneur, and how did you overcome them?
Well, it's so funny because I started late in life as far as an entrepreneur. I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. But you know what? Even for me growing up, it was the concept: you go to school, you make good grades, you get a good job, you retire. That was in my era, but now, now things are changing. So stepping out into the entrepreneurial world, it was scary. It's still scary.
But
But
you go ahead.
but I know I'm making a difference, especially in people's lives when it comes to finances. So it was scary. It's not too many Black females in the space of accounting, in the
Right.
space of finances. So I mean, usually, it's more male dominated. So, but like I said, I've been in the corporate world for more than 4 decades when it comes to accounting. So it's a little scary because sometimes I felt like, am I good enough? But I know I'm good enough. But sometimes, as a Black woman, sometimes you just get that, can you do it? But I have the confidence that I can do it.
Now, with misogyny, all of a sudden coming back to the 19th century era, especially with a lot of men that look like you and I. I mean, like, have you faced any backlashes from them? Because, I mean, it's kind of like to see women in charge is actually causing some issues to some extent.
You know what? I have not. In my whole entire corporate career, I have never come across that situation.
hmm
I know it's out there. I've just never experienced it.
Thank God.
Mhm.
Uh, how do you define success beyond profit?
Success to me is knowing that as an entrepreneur in the business world, that you're making a difference, and it's not about how much revenue you get in, how much expenses that you're using. Knowing that you changed a person's life, it could be one little thing that you said, or one little thing that changed the way they was doing their budget, or they might have not even had a budget, or they might have not even had an emergency fund. But to me, is giving the information, and hopefully the information that I give them, they're going to take that information and start with a basic foundation and go from there.
Mhm. So, what legacy do you hope your entrepreneur journey leaves behind?
My legacy is to pass it on to my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, because even with, for me, I have 4 adult children, I have 4 grandchildren, 3 grandchildren, they're teenagers, which is a little different. They're that not Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're kind of there. But for me to be able to pass down the knowledge that I have, and don't be scared when it comes to money or budgeting or even finances, even for young people, take that step into the STEM world as far as science, technology, engineering, and math. We kind of hold back, but actually, I met a young lady. Her daughter, she loves science. She's 6 years old. I said, keep pushing her, because we need more female scientists.
Mhm. Well, but you know something? I think even with that,
Hmm.
do you think society is about to be a little bit more of a pushback when it comes to young ladies now that are venturing into what most consider to be male dominated industries, arenas, or areas? Because I think the innovation, though, that
Hmm.
comes from a woman's perspective,
Hmm.
is that's a whole lot more logical in the thinking process.
Hmm.
So do you think
Hmm.
that's like a threat to a lot of
I
men in the industry?
I don't think it's a threat. I hope it's not a threat. I hope that it's more like working together to succeed. I hope it's not a threat. I hope it's where, as far as women being able to coordinate, as far as, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but being able to coordinate to do things a little differently because we think different.
Yes.
Men and women, we think differently. We're more like, more like focused, like I guess like task focused.
Right.
So I start with a small picture and then build from there. Where most companies, even most bosses, they look at the big picture. But you got to start with the small picture to see how you're going to get to that big picture. So I hopefully that what we bring to the table as women entrepreneurs, accountants, scientists, IT technicians, that we're bringing something to enhance, the what we're doing versus versus being a hindrance.
Right. Well, because I do. So, like when it comes to your business and the ventures that you have going on, like when you're actually working with your clients, or if do you have employees that work for you?
No. I just have clients. I don't have employees.
Okay.
No.
So when you have your clients and you're dealing with your clients, what are some of the things that, especially those that want to go into the industry in which you're in, what are some of the things that they should know or maybe understand as to how to approach that client to get that likability and to get a mainstay client? What are some of the things that they should do?
I think first of all, you should understand your business first, because you want to be able to, go out and talk with your client, but you want to have that knowledge to be able to go out to talk with your client. So you got to be comfortable in yourself, confidence in yourself, that you're going to give the client the correct information. And that takes studying your products. For me, is personal development. Everybody mindset is different. So it's, trying to reach each person. But like I tell people, each of my clients is different. So my goal is, what am I trying to accomplish for them? So I got to be on the same page. If they're up here, I need to kind of be up here. If they're down here, I need to be down here. Right. So I need to be where my clients are so I can be able to help them. I don't want them to feel like I know everything. I want them to be able to say, okay, Cheryl, I need your help. Okay, well, let's work on this, or let's work on that. So that's the way I feel when I talk with my clients. I want to be on the same playing field. So to be able to give them the information, not knowing that I'm better or anything like that. I have more knowledge, but I want them to feel comfortable with me, that I'm giving them the correct information.
So tell us about the marketing part and how you do that when it comes to your business. How did you decide, or you come up with your marketing strategy and marketing plan in order to grow your business?
Okay. Well, right now my marketing budget is kind of low because I'm a entrepreneur. So my marketing is, like I said, is more of the networking, meeting people, word of mouth, referrals. That would be for me more of my marketing. I'm working to build my marketing budget. But right now it's just getting out there, letting people know who I am, what I do. And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to marketing. You can pay for ads on Facebook. You can pay for, ads on YouTube or Google or wherever. But does that person know you? So to me, I think that more personal touch is going to make a difference. You market yourself. So that's what I do. I go out there and I market myself when I meet people.
Well, I love that. Because just like yourself, I will tell you, I don't have a marketing budget either. But what I think is such a blessing though is like in having I have 2 LinkedIn pages, right? And they do separate parts for separate business, right? And I got to tell you that, I think it's just a blessing that I've had the opportunity to meet and network with the people that I have networked with, because it's proven to be a very valuable tool. And so I've made it my business to say, I want to go back and I want to actually try to reach out and and actually get the opportunity to speak with each and every last one of those individuals, which will probably take me 5 years to do that. But that's a goal that I want to try. And so I love the way you say that, and when you say that, because there's a lot of truth to that. Because I think once people get to know you, especially, then it's like, okay, especially when you're likable, you're approachable, you know, it makes it that much easier, especially when we're doing services.
And it's so true, you know, like I tell people, market yourself. They're looking at you as far as how can this person help me? So yeah, you can have a marketing budget, you know, pay for advertising and things like that, but they're still not seeing the true person.
Right.
You know, even for me, when I connect on LinkedIn, you can read so much in a profile of a person, but until you actually meet that person face to face on a Zoom, you really don't know who that person is. You know, like they said, like body language, you can kind of tell body language and things like that. But just reading a profile, they can have all these accolades, but then you meet them and it's like, that's not the person I thought it was going to be. So we just don't know. So you really need to market yourself.
Right.
You are your best advertisement.
You know, you're so right about that. So can you tell us what role has faith or purpose played in your business decisions?
For me, faith is I'm a woman of faith, and you know, they always say faith is, you know, things that you want to me is very important. You know, being a Christian woman, prayer is so important because we pray for things. It's not always in our timing. It's in God's timing. And when it's in his time, it's going to happen. But you got to believe you got to believe what you're believing for is going to happen. We just don't know when it's going to happen. So faith to me is very, very important when it comes to especially my business and the people that I surround myself with.
So how do you cultivate resilience during seasons of uncertainty?
You know what? You just gotta, for me, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have those ups and downs, you're gonna have those valleys and things like that. But just stay true to yourself, knowing that what you're doing is gonna change somebody's life. So yeah, every entrepreneur is gonna go through the ups and downs, the valleys, and you know, like, can I get out of this? You know, do I even see a light at the end of the tunnel? It's a light at the end of the tunnel. But just stay true to what you want to do, what you're trying to accomplish. And yeah, you're gonna have those times where you want to feel like giving up. Trust me, it's been times I felt like giving up. But then I would hear my mom's favorite poem is "Don't Quit." I would hear her in my ear, "Don't quit." Because if you quit, you don't know what your result will be at the end. You don't know if you're going to be victorious or not. You don't know if you stop. I don't know if I could have changed that one person's life. But if I stop, I don't know what could have happened. You know what I'm saying? So right. I think that's important when it comes to resilience. As entrepreneurs, we're all going to go through it. If you don't go through it, God bless you. But because it's a tough road. It's a tough road. You know, but you just gotta have tough skin and just know that you have a purpose and a passion for what you're doing. Just continue doing it, you know.
Well, Erica has put another comment here, and she says that is so true. Meeting people is the best way to network. So my next question for you is, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who feel unseen or unheard?
You know what? When it comes to aspiring entrepreneurs, in the beginning, like I said, you have a vision. You want that vision to come true. So don't give up. No matter what it takes, don't give up. Sometimes it's gonna be a hard road. You're gonna be like, I can't do this. As far as being an entrepreneur, don't give up, because that's your passion. That's what you want to do. You want to make a difference in people's lives. No matter what industry you're in, don't give up. That's what I would say, especially to aspiring entrepreneur. It's going to be some tough times ahead, but then if celebrate those small wins, whatever it is, you actually, talk to a client today, celebrate that win. You could have went through talking, went through 25 phone calls. You finally got one phone call and you talk to a client. That's a win. So celebrate those small wins. Aspiring entrepreneur is going to be hard, but you have a vision, you have a purpose, you have a passion. This is what you want to do. So definitely don't quit. That's what I would say.
So we're gonna do a word association.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna give you a word. I need you to give me the first word that comes to your mind, but make sure you remember each and every word that I ask.
Okay.
First word is profit.
Revenue.
Money.
A tool.
Budget.
Important.
Balance.
Work life.
People.
Different.
Ledger.
Ledger as far as
A general ledger.
A general ledger. Okay. That will also be balancing.
Post.
Entries.
Profit.
Net income.
Cash.
Asset.
Women.
Assets.
Of all those words, which one resonates the most to you as the most important?
The most important to me would be being an asset. And that can be not just in business, just being an asset. That can be being an asset to somebody else in their life, being an asset in your business, being an asset in relationships. So to me, the most important word would be asset.
And so can you tell, and so is that your reasoning for just the various reasons of being important in someone's life?
Yes, because I always tell people we are our most valuable asset. When I ask people, what's their most valuable asset, most people tell me their house, their car, their real estate, but you are your most valuable asset and you want to bring yourself to others. So asset to me is very important, not just in the accounting world, but being an asset overall to others is important.
Okay. So let's move over to your work in financial planning and economic empowerment. What led you to pursue a career in financial planning?
Well, like I said, almost 8 years ago, my one of my best friends invited me to a presentation, and she said that you're going to get to help people with their finances. Like I said, I've been doing it in the corporate world for more than 4 decades. So I said, wow, I get to help people with their finances, their financial planning, their budgeting. That was exciting to me because I love numbers. Most people think like, well, when it comes to numbers, a love-hate relationship, but I love numbers. So when it came to financial planning, knowing that I'm going to actually sit down with a client to help them figure out starting point from point A to point Z and what, and everything it takes in between to get to their financial roadmap.
Oh, wow. Okay. How do you approach financial literacy in underserved communities?
Financial literacy is so important because it's not something, so I'm a baby boomer, so it was not something that was talked about. It wasn't passed down from my parents, from my grandparents, as far as financial literacy. It's still not even taught. Of the 50 states, only 26 require you a financial personal finance class to graduate before you get out of high school. So financial literacy is the basic for any finance, for anybody, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're just a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, a college student. Financial literacy, we need to know the basic when it comes to our finances. And that, that goes with How does your money grow? How does your money get taxed? The rule of 72, which a lot of people don't know about. So I actually do a financial education every Thursday at 7 p.m., with the exception of today, because I'm a guest here. But I think financial literacy, just giving people that basic foundation. I've had people that's been in their business for 20, 30 years. I actually had a young lady yesterday. She's been in her business for 35 years. She's never even heard of the rule of 72. And she's a real estate agent. We don't know what we don't know.
Wow. Really?
She's never heard of it. Never.
Oh, wow. So when you're doing the those literacy classes, so what is your whole sole intent and purpose, and how do you keep those people glued, to not only the message, but to keep coming back as you do those messages every Thursday?
My intent is to, like I said, to give people the basic foundation when it comes to their finances. It's just like riding a bike. When you get on a bike, you don't know how to pedal. You don't even know what you're doing. Same thing when it comes to your finances. Most people, they have a budget in their head, not written down. And even if they have it written down, they don't stick to it. And so if you don't have a budget, or if you don't stick to it, you don't know if you have a net income at the end of the month, or if you have money left over, or if you have a net loss, meaning, okay, where's all my money? I can't buy what I wanted to buy. So that's so important, when it comes to, for me, teaching the financial education classes. And like I said, it's just a basic foundation. And then if they're interested in going further, we can meet one-on-one. But I'm just giving people that basic foundation when it comes to financial literacy, because, we have young people. Some of them have never seen a check, don't even know what a check is. Some people, we have young people, because everything is online. But even if they get a charge to their bank account, well, what is this? Well, did you reach a contract? It's just those little things that we don't think about when it comes to our finances. Credit card debt is just off the roof right now. Back in June of 2024, credit card debt alone was $1.15 trillion. Yep. That was just credit card debt. That is not mortgages. That is not car loan. That is not those AmScot loans. That's just credit card. So people, especially during the pandemic, people are still trying to get out of debt from 5 years ago.
Yep, and and I think that's also the importance of the rule of 72, because I think once people understand that, then they're able to operate and move a whole lot easier throughout their lives.
Right. But they need that foundation. What is the rule of 72? It's either going to work for you or it's going to work against you.
Yeah.
But we need to know it, at least have a foundation.
Yes. So what myths about money do you often find yourself debunking?
One of the myths I always find myself debunking is, in order to have financial freedom, you got to make six figures. No. No. Because you have six-figure earners that's living paycheck to paycheck because they don't know how to manage their money. So for me, it's not about how much you make, how much you keep, and what are you doing with the money that you keep. So that's a myth that everybody think about. I want financial freedom, but I got to be making six figures. You can make five figures and have financial freedom, but you got to be able to understand, plan, and manage your money when it comes to your finances.
Yes. How do you help clients shift from survival mode to wealth building?
In the beginning, it's hard because it's literally changing your mindset, going from a poverty mindset to a growth mindset. And that's hard, because it's like, well, I can't afford this, so you have to, for me, I always tell people, you got to change the negative, the way you think about money, first of all. Well, I'm never going to make a lot of money. Well, if you keep saying that to yourself, you're never going to make a lot of money.
They put it in the atmosphere.
Yeah, so it's like you got to change that negativity. I always say change the negativity into something positive. Like when I do my presentation, my webinar, like when I talk about financial freedom, people say, I want to be debt free. When I think of the word debt, it's still negative. So you don't want to be debt free. You want financial abundance to be able to pay off your debts.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to
Okay.
change you got to change the wording and the way that you think about money. Money is a tool to get to where you need to be. But how are you managing that tool?
Wow. What's one financial principle you believe every young woman should know?
I think every young woman should know when it comes to a financial principle is start small when it comes to savings. And I always tell you, especially young ladies, start like if you have a savings account, it's like, Miss Cheryl, I can only afford $10 a month. Fine, $10 at the end of 12 months, that's $120 more that you had than you didn't have at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So start small, have something in place because we all need liquid money. We have credit cards and we have interest rate and things like that. But start small. Start with the basic. Have an emergency, what we call emergency fund or a rainy day fund, but start
Mm-hmm.
small.
Mm-hmm. How do you integrate cultural awareness into your financial strategies?
Cultural awareness. I think when it comes to culture as far as finances, you know, especially in the black and brown community, it was not something that we had the education. It just wasn't the education that we had. And not that we can't learn it. It just didn't, like I said, it didn't come down from generation to generation. So when it comes to, cultural awareness, don't feel that you can't accomplish it because you're black or brown or anything like that. It's just going to take a little bit more effort, a little bit more time, a little bit more being resilient because you're going to come across things like, I can't do this, but you can. It's just going to take, even when I do mentoring as well. When I tell my students, they say, well, I can't do this and this, Miss B. You can do it. You just got to think it's going to be a little harder and it's going to take you a little bit more time. But especially cultural awareness when it comes to financial literacy, I just think about it is we all deserve the right when it comes to financial literacy, not just the wealthy.
Yes, exactly. You know something else. As you said that, a lot of things just went through my mind,
Mhm.
and I know that you're right about in our communities that's not something that a lot of us get that knowledge on and how to do a lot of things, especially from a financial perspective.
Mhm.
But what I'm also seeing, and I don't know how long this trend has been happening, which I'm trying to track. But what I'm finding is that you have a lot of people that are actually in our communities. They're still believing,
Mhm.
that putting money in a savings account is going to make them some money. I'm finding
Yeah.
that there's an enormous amount of people that are afraid of actually, getting those plans, via their jobs, for retirement accounts
Mhm.
because, they're feeling nervous about the stock market.
Right. Right.
So for those people that are feeling that way, what is
Mhm.
something that you can actually tell them to help them to alleviate some of that stress and that panic?
Well, first of all, when it comes to savings in a bank, I tell my clients you will never be able to save your way to wealth. It's not going to happen, not with the interest rate that the banks are giving you. So sometime you got to step out on faith, hopefully working with a person that like and trust. They're giving you the right information, whether it's a financial planner, a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed to help people with their assets under management. But I could help you say, okay, this is the best place to put your money, whether it's a Roth IRA, where as that money grow, you're not going to get taxed on the growth of that money. And this all comes back to financial literacy.
Mhm.
We got to know where to start. If you have children, you can start with a Roth IRA. You can start with, for me, I'm a life insurance broker. You can start with a permanent life insurance policy where you can accumulate that wealth, which is tax free for the
Mhm.
children, for them to grow their money. That's another vehicle. So it's different vehicles, but we got to know where to start, how to start, and be comfortable with whoever you work with, knowing that they're giving you the right information.
Mhm. Now, what I think is interesting about that is, I agree with all those points that you made, but how do you think a lot of us that are working to help the underserved communities of such, what do you think we could do better to actually connect them to the right people that's trustworthy?
It's actually, I think for me it would be actually working with, working with other individuals. Like I said, I do a lot of networking. I network with financial advisors. I
Mhm.
network with financial planners because it might be things that they know or they can do that I can't do. I'm
Right.
working with a young lady. She's a financial advisor, and she was
Mhm.
able to help one of my clients with a Roth IRA. I can't
Mhm.
do that because I'm not licensed to do that. But
Right.
I met with her. I felt very comfortable with her, and now I have a client that just started a Roth IRA and they're older. They're in their 60s, but they wanted to start something. And I always tell
Mhm.
people it's never too late to start, but you got to start somewhere. So for me,
Right.
I think making that difference for me is working with somebody or getting to know somebody, and then I'm like, okay, I know somebody who I can refer you to because I feel comfortable with that person.
Right.
Mhm.
What's your take on generational wealth and its role in healing Black families?
Generational wealth is, I don't think, okay, we have thunder. I don't think a lot of people think about what generational wealth is or
Mhm.
even know what it is. When we talk about generational wealth, like what exactly is generational wealth? Passing it down from generation to generation. So basically, me passing it down to my children, to my to my grandchildren, to my great. That's generational wealth. But how do you accumulate that generational wealth? And that's through various vehicles. I always tell my clients, diversification is so important. But you can create generational wealth if you know the right tools or if the person gives you the right information, what tools to get started. So generational wealth does exist. We just got to know what foundation or where to go to get the information to be able to pass down from my children to my grandchildren to my great grandchildren. And that also comes with knowledge. You
Mhm.
know, we can talk about generational wealth, but if you don't know the difference between a taxable account and a deferred account and a non-taxable account, you can really be defeating yourself as far as which bucket should I be in when it comes to generational wealth. They all are important, but we just need to know, and like that's why education is so important.
But so with that, because that's also another great point. So
Mhm.
with that though, and let's say that they're in that situation.
Mhm.
So what is going to be the next step for them to actually take full advantage of that? Because it's for the long term that we're looking for. What would be that next step?
I think the next step would continue to get the right information and apply the knowledge that you got from that person. Like I said, hopefully that person is giving you the right information. But even doing research on your own, not just going by anybody's word, even doing research. Even when I started in the business, as far as financial planning, I know the rule of 72 because I do accounting. I've heard of the rule of 72, but I didn't really know how to apply it. So as I've been going through my journey as far as accounting and being an entrepreneur, I had to research and make sure the information that I got, like, wow, that is right. As far as the rule of 72, how does your money grow? How does your money get taxed? So it's just learning and doing the research on your own in addition to getting the information from someone else. Just not relying on what somebody tells you, but hopefully the person that gives you the information, they're giving you the right information as well.
So can you share a story where financial planning transformed someone's life?
Yes, sir. So I actually had a client. She was actually one of my church sisters, and she loves to shop, and she literally loves to shop. Um, so we went through her budget, we went through her financial analysis, her income and expenses, and she did not have a saving account, but
Right.
she was spending $200 to $300 a month on clothes. I
Ooh.
don't know, but it is what it is. So for me, what changed that for me was she was able to set up a savings account. It took a couple of months, like, okay, sis, did you set it up? Did you set it up? It took some time for her to set it up. But once she set it up, she called me. She was so excited. And then, now everything was automated. The money was going in there from her checking account, from her checking to her saving. And then before she knew it, she had like $500 where she had $0. But it's just being disciplined, being accountable. So that was just such exciting for me, knowing that she went from zero in emergency fund to over $500. She was still shopping, but she now had an emergency fund to rely back on, because like I said, everybody needs liquid money.
Mm. So, how do you use storytelling to make financial concepts more relatable?
From Okay, so storytelling is really, really important. And especially if the story is like, in my situation, I'm a life insurance broker. So I made sure when I came into the business, I made sure all my family had life insurance. So my story is my nephew was diagnosed with stage 5 kidney disease last year at the age of 35, which was a shock to our family. But my saving grace was we had the life insurance in place that now he can use that life insurance. The life insurance company is sending him a check to help him with his medical expenses. Even in the Black community, when we think about life insurance, it's like it's like taboo. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to talk about it. But for me, my being able to share my story, that my nephew, if it wasn't because of the life insurance, he would not have this money that he's getting while he's still living, that the life insurance company is sending him monthly to help him with his medical expenses. So storytelling is really, really important, especially if your story relates to whether it's, like in my case, it was within the insurance business. Also, when I talk about financial planning, having an emergency fund, back in 2020, me and my husband, we both lost our jobs. We lived on unemployment for a year and a half, month to month. So emergency fund, I know what it means not to have an emergency fund. So I tell people, I don't want people to think I'm so high and mighty. I've been there. I know what it's not like to have an emergency fund, but we got to start somewhere. So storytelling in your business is so, so important, especially if it relates to the business itself.
What's your vision for economic justice in our communities?
My vision is for my vision is to create for my vision is for the society. Okay, my vision is for to have a world where we are not thinking about generational debts. We understand financial, and we understand financial education. And also, if we understand that we will not start, credit card debt and things like that. So my vision is to have a world where people understand you don't have to get into credit card debt, or if you get into credit card debt, it's a way to get out of it. But being able to understand your finances as well. So to be able to have a vision where everybody, everyone has the information when it comes to being able to travel that road of financial freedom, to be able to pass down generational wealth to their family.
So let's transition over to your work as a mentor and your community impact. What does mentorship mean to you on a spiritual and personal level?
Mentorship to me is you are changing someone's life. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 8 or you can be 88. I think a mentor to me is I'm going to I'm going to put the belief in you until you can believe in yourself. So for the young ladies that I work with, they come from lower income families, but it's a scholarship based program to be able to go to college. So a lot of them feel like in their first generation students, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. So for me, I'm a cheerleader. I'm going to cheer you on until you can believe in yourself. And I think that's so important as far as mentoring. I'm not there to, I'm just there to encourage you. You got this. You can do this. It might be a struggle. Like, I had a young lady, I had her for 4 years of high school. She struggled in math. And, I love math, but she struggled the whole 4 years in math. But I kept telling her, it's just going to take you a little bit more. You're just going to have to put a little bit more effort into it, and you're going to be fine. So even in high school, in the state of Florida, it is passing in class in high school, but not in college. So I remember when she started her first year in college, this was during the pandemic, and she finished her first semester, and she had to take the remedial algebra before she did the college algebra. And I remember she called me, and so I've been mentoring for 25 years. So I've been Mrs. B for the last 25 years because my students can't pronounce my last name, which is fine. But I remember she called me and she said, Mrs. B, I just want to let you know I passed my algebra class. Not that she just passed it, but she passed it with an A.
Oh,
You
wow.
probably heard me screaming in Atlanta, Georgia. Because I know my next door neighbor heard me screaming because I was so excited knowing that I just kept instilling in her, you can do this, but you got to believe in yourself. So I kept putting the belief in her until she can believe in herself. And I think that's what it is when it comes to mentoring, putting that belief in that person that I can't do this, but yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Wow. How did your own experiences shape your commitment to mentoring young women?
I think for me, I've always growing up, I had 6 siblings. And I've always been, even though I wasn't the oldest, but I acted like the oldest. So I feel as young, having young siblings, I feel that I mentored them, making sure that, whether it was schoolwork, whether it was, cooking, whatever it was. So I think for me, I feel I was a mentor at a young age, and I think that just carried over into my adulthood. So I think that's what made me wanted to be able to make a difference, especially in young ladies' lives.
So is your mentoring program, do all of your people have to be there in person, or do you do this virtual?
Well, it's through this. Okay, so the mentoring program is through the state of Florida. It's a school-based program. So we meet with the students during the school year, which is August to May in the state of Florida. And it can be virtual or it can be in person. We go into the school, but it have to be on school ground. We can't meet them offside of the school ground. But if it's virtual, it can be a Zoom. Um, so the program that I'm in is called Take Stock in Children. So it can be, like I said, it can be a virtual program. It can be virtual that I meet them during mentoring, or I can actually go into the school and meet them face to face.
Okay. What's one moment with a mentee that affirmed your purpose?
One moment that affirmed my purpose was I had a young lady. She graduated from 12th grade. And I think for me, what affirmed it was she was the only one in her family that graduated from high school. Her parents dropped out of high school. Her grandmother dropped out of high school. Her older brother dropped out. So for me to be there to see her walk across that stage to get her diploma affirmed that I knew I made a difference in this young lady.
Wow. How do you create safe spaces for young women to grow and lead?
I think the safe spaces, let them be who they are. Like I always I tell my young ladies, you have a dream, you want to accomplish something. Don't let anyone take that dream away from you. If you want to be a pilot, you want to be an accountant, you want to be a scientist, that's your dream. I had a young lady, she wanted to be a photographer and she's really, really good at it. And so, but her parents wanted her to be a graphic designer. That's not what she wanted to do. And I don't think she would have been good at it. So I always tell my young ladies, you have a dream or you have a goal you're trying to reach, talk with people that's gonna be there to help you with that goal, not hinder you, to hold you back. So even with the young lady, she had went to, when her senior year, she had started going to colleges, for tours and stuff like that. And she's like, I said, well, do you want me to go with you, as a mentor with your parents? Because I think in the beginning, she was kind of scared to talk with her parents, that she didn't want to be a graphic designer. But I think as parents, sometimes we want to live through our children as far as college. But you want to make sure that your child is going to succeed. So you want to make sure, let them make the decision. Yeah, you're there to guide them, but let them make the decision what they want to be. And you're there as guidance, even as parents, as mentors, guidance counselors, teachers. We're there to guide, for me, guiding the young ladies towards the path that they want to go.
So, do you find it sometimes that some of the parents are living vicariously through the children?
Well, I did in that situation. I did in that situation. I did in that situation. But that was the only time that was the only situation that really happened. But she was really close to her parents, and she was close to me as a mentor. So she really relied on me to be there and encourage her to. And right now, she's in the process of having her own photography studio. That's what she always wanted to do, and she's really good at it.
Wow. A creator.
Yes.
What are the key ingredients to building trust in mentorship relationships?
Listening. The key ingredient is listening. That's why they said they gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Just listen, because if you're talking, you can't hear the other person anyway. So for me, when it comes to mentorship, listening to the young ladies, if they're struggling in, in a subject, well, do we need to get extra help? Do you need to do tutoring? Just being a listener, I think that's the most important thing. Because if you're not listening to a person, you really don't know what they want. For me, I want the best for my young ladies, but I need to listen to find out what is their goals, what is they trying to accomplish, and then we work together to make that happen.
Well, now, let me just say this, because that's very interesting when you say that, but a lot of people don't know how to listen. They only hear. And so with that being said, normally how does that come back to affect this child? Because some parents will say quickly, I heard you. You say, no, I want you to listen.
That is so true. Because I remember growing up, my mom used to always say, "When in this ear and out this one," like it didn't get stuck in here at all.
Right.
You're right. Listening and hearing is totally different. Listening, you have to be more focused instead of just hearing. Listening is you actually hear every word that your child is saying. Even as a parent, you raise your children, so sometimes you don't hear everything. You're half listening. I guess that's what you would call it.
Yes.
But it's really important to listen to what they're saying, absorb what they're saying, and be able to respond back to them.
So, how do you help young women navigate identity, purpose, and power?
Well, as women, we have superpowers. No. Just saying, we have superpowers. No. So I guess I would say, like I said, I think for me it's a little different because of the young ladies that I work with, because they come from lower income families. It's building up that self-esteem first. That's where I have to start, because some of them, they just don't have the belief that some of them don't even have the belief that they can go to college. Their first generation, they don't even have the belief, well, I don't know if I can do this, Miss B. Yes, you can. So you got to build up the belief in them, and that's that identity, who you are, So usually, like we have like during my mentoring session, we have a lot of different icebreakers, and we talk about, 5 years from now or a year from now, what would you like to do? What would you like to accomplish? 30 days from now. So they kind of give me a goal, and we kind of build on it from there. And this way I can kind of see where they're at right now and where they want to be 5, 10, 15 years from now. I start with them when they're 15, in ninth grade. By the time I finish, they're 18. So they've changed over those 4 years that I had them from high school, from ninth grade to 12th grade. So their identity, they have more confidence in themselves as far as I can do this. When they start applying for colleges, they apply for those colleges that they don't even think they're going to be able to get into. I said, apply for them anyway. You don't know what these college people, the college representatives they're looking at. It's not just about looking at your grades. Now you have to be more well-rounded. It's grades, your community service. If you got a job while you're still in high school, it's a lot of different things. Are you in different clubs, different activities? So that identity start with who they are first, but it's building up that self-esteem. For me, that's the most important for me, working with my young ladies, building up that self-esteem first, knowing that they have the belief that they can do it.
I want to ask you a question before I move on to this next question here. My grandbaby, she's over in Navarre. Can she get into that program?
It is in 46 counties in the state of Florida. So you said Brevard County?
She's in Navarre, Florida. That's over in the Panhandle.
More than likely. So what grade is she in?
She's in the 10th.
Okay. Well, it starts in 8th grade. So what happens is in 8th grade, every child that's on free and reduced lunch, the application goes to the guidance counselor. The guidance counselor gives it to every child that's on free and reduced lunch. They can apply for the program in the state of Florida. It's in 46 counties of the 67 counties. So it's probably in her county. But the thing about this program is it's kind of word of mouth. And a lot of people don't know about it until it's too late to get into the program. Like you said, right, it actually starts in 8th grade. But once they're in the program, they're in it for the whole 4 years.
Oh, okay. Right. So it's too late for her to get into that.
Yeah. So like when the application comes out, in October. I put on Facebook, I put on LinkedIn. If you know anyone in the state of Florida in 8th grade, because sometimes the guidance counselor, they forget. So I put it out there, now's the time for your child. If they're on free and reduced lunch, they're 8th grade, they can apply for it's called Take Stock in Children, the Take Stock in Children program.
Oh, wow. So what community initiatives are you most proud of?
The community initiative, I think for me is, and it's so funny because it wasn't even in the state of Florida. So I actually did an event in the state of Georgia, and it was for one of my daughter's friends. She had an event, and it was for parents that couldn't afford to buy sneakers for their children, and it's called Lace 'em Up program. So I was there as a vendor. So I was actually I set up my vendor table, and I was able to pass out information pertaining to financial planning. Because, like I said, financial literacy, a lot of, especially if you come from lower income family, we don't know what we don't know. So I think for me, the most important thing for me is this is the second year I've been in this community as far as being able to help these parents, single moms, single dads. Do you have life insurance in place? Do you have a budget in place? Do you need help with, budgeting? A lot of them don't have a budget. Well, if they have a budget, it kind of falls through the crack. So I think for me, the important community initiative is being able to go out there and provide the services that I do.
What community, how do you measure impact when the work is deeply personal?
For me, it's deeply personal. Because for me, it's deeply personal because it changed my life almost 10 years ago, knowing that, yeah, as an accountant, I know numbers, but financial planning is different. It's a foundation when it comes to your finances, whether it's putting your child through, education, putting your child through college or trade school, um, having a budget in place, being a retiree. That's part of financial planning. You getting ready to retire. How are you gonna, how are you gonna make it through your retirement years? Do you have enough money to take you through those years? So certain goals, certain platforms, certain things you need to know, especially the rule of 72. Certain things you need to know as far as you're in retirement, and that's what happened with a lot of retirees. They end up going back to work part time because they're on Social Security. They might have a pension, but they never thought enough. They never thought about, do I have enough money to take me through my retirement years? Retirement is not an age, it is a number. And that number is, do I have enough money accumulated to take me through my retirement years? You can be in your 40s and retire. So it's not about being age 65, because when I talk to young people, you don't say retirement, you don't say 65, because that's way, way too far for them. That's like 30, 40 years from now. But when I said with young people, I said, we're going to talk about your financial future. Let's start your financial future now, planning for your financial future. So by the time you're 40, 50, 60 years old, you can come out the corporate world, you can be an entrepreneur, you can do whatever you wanted to do, but let's start it now. I wish I would have known this information when I was in my 20s. I probably would be a multi-billionaire by now, but we don't know what we don't know. So that's why the impact for me is reaching, especially the millennials, the Gen Zs. I mean, I heard one millennial tell me a credit card is better than a debit card because a credit card is free money. And she was 21 years old. No, ma'am, it is not free money. It is borrowed money that you have to pay back. But this is just things that they don't know. It's not free money, ma'am. But she told me a credit card is better than a debit card because it's free money.
Wow. What does healing look like in the context of community leadership?
Healing is starting with yourself, because healing starts within. So, and I know, like, even for me, being a woman of faith, I have a lot of church brothers and sisters that went through church hurt. I've never been through it, but you got to start within. You got to heal within yourself first before you can start helping others. But it all starts within. As far as the healing process starts within yourself.
How do you mentor through moments of failure or disappointment?
You know what? When I think about mentoring, I don't think about failure, or, I don't think about that, because like I said, to me, that's like negative. You're failing, you're not going to make it. I don't think about it like that. Mentoring is you're moving forward. So I don't think about mentoring. I mean, we might go through some times as far as struggling, as far as sometime I had a student, they ended up on probation, but we was able to get them back. So I don't think about it as failure. Failure to me is just a way to, things didn't happen the way they were supposed to happen. But if you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to get past that failing point. Just like they said, Michael Jordan, he was, when it came to basketball, softball, whatever that sport was, if he didn't keep doing what he was doing, he wouldn't be the Michael Jordan of today, So failure is an option, but you get back up and you continue. You don't fail like, you know what, I'm not going to do this. So failure, people always say failure is not an option. Failure is an option, because if you go through that failure, next time you're going to do better, so you don't fail again. So failure is an option. There's no such thing to me as failure is not an option. I tell my student, failure is an option. You might fail math this year, That don't mean you're gonna fail math next year. You just got to work a little bit harder.
Yeah. So I know when we spoke earlier, I mentioned to you we do Black History 365,
Mhm.
and I asked you who was the most influential person in your life and career via Black history, and you told me Martin Luther King Jr.
Mhm.
Can you tell us why is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. the most influential figure in your life and career?
Well, growing up as a baby boomer, that was the most important African American man, that was making a difference, Dr. King. So even to this day, his work is still being done as far as service. Like during Dr. King's Day, service to people, service to others. So I consider myself a servant, So the things that he did, making a difference, that's what I want to do. So that's why Dr. King is so important to me because growing up, going through the 60s and the 70s and things like that, the things that I saw as a young child, what Dr. King went through, but he kept persevering. Didn't matter what obstacles that he came across, he still persevered. So that's to me why Dr. King is the most important because he never gave up. He never
Right.
gave up. And so for me, like I said, starting in this business as an entrepreneur, in the beginning it was hard, but I said, you know what? I'm not gonna quit, because I don't know what person, if I quit, what person would I have missed that I didn't change their life. So I think for me, Dr. King is the most important for me because it was in my era that the things that he went through and telling people that, we can do whatever we want to do. We just got to be focused and, just be a better person. Just be a good person. No violence or anything like that. Just be a good person. So to me, that's why Dr. King is the most important because he never gave up.
So, what teachings of MLK do you carry into your daily work?
I think for me, the teaching that I carry into my daily work is just persevering every day. Knowing sometime, did I get through to this person? Did they hear the information? Am I making a difference? It's just the perseverance as far as Dr. King, not being able to see the whole staircase, but knowing that if I take one step at a time, I'm going to get to that, to the top of that staircase or the bottom of that staircase. But it's just knowing that you have to just do one thing at a time, one step at a time, and just perseverance.
How has his legacy shaped your understanding of justice and leadership?
His legacy, like I said, his legacy lives on to this day as far as service, being a service to someone, um, being making a difference in somebody's life. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. So that service that he wanted to make a difference in everybody's lives, not just the black community, everyone. He wanted, as far as us being equal, in the black community, but he wanted everyone to be treated fairly, when it came to, economics and things like that. So I think that, that would be, what I would, that would be the most important thing for me.
What parallels do you see between MLK's vision and your own mission?
My own mission and his vision,
Mm-hmm.
I think the parallel would be just um, just continue to focus on what you're doing. You might have some backlash, you might hit some roadblocks, but if just stay true. For me, staying true to who I am, and I think that's my parallel. Staying true to who I am and knowing that I can make a difference in someone's life, and I think that's the parallel. Just staying true to who you are, no matter what you're going through, the ups, the downs, the turmoil, or whatever the situation is, just staying true to who you are. And that's who Dr. King was. He was true to who he was and, knowing that he wanted to make a difference in people's lives.
So, how do you honor Black history through your work and mentorship?
I think for me, it's really important to, when it comes to financial literacy, because, like I said, this is something that has not been passed down, especially in the Black community. So I think for my honoring is educating, educating the information that was given to me. It wasn't passed down, but I was blessed with the information. So now my legacy is to be able to bless others with the information that I was given.
What does beloved community mean to you in today's context?
Beloved community,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be just working together, listening to each other, um, working for the best cause, whatever the situation is. But you know, um, bringing us together to be able to um, feed off each other's strengths. And I think that's when we talk about beloved community. I think that's what it would be, as far as being able to feed off each other's strengths. My strength might be accounting. Your strength might be real estate. Somebody else's strength might be real estate. Let's bring it all together as far as a community and see how we can change our community at in large at large.
How do you keep MLK's dream alive in the financial and entrepreneurial space?
Keeping his dream alive is, I think for me, keeping his dream alive is, I just always go back to service, being of service to others, and I think that would be keeping his dream alive. For me, being a servant, being of service to others to make a difference, and I think that would be keeping his dream alive for me.
What would you say to Dr. King if you could sit down with him today?
Dr. King, well, I was young. I was young, but the things that you did, and and you kept persevering until the end. Making a difference. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You never gave up, and that's what I want. I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up on my clients. I don't want to give up on myself, and I want to be able to know that thinking back to the things that you went through, that has actually changed how I want to be service to others.
Wow. How do you teach young women to see themselves as part of Black history in motion?
I guess that would be confidence. And I would say, for, especially young Black women, we can do whatever we want to do, but it's just gonna, it might look, it's gonna look different for us looking at what we want to do, but I think for me, it would be saying, telling my young ladies, especially African American young ladies, just focus, just do the best, just be the best version of you.
Mhm.
And I think that's all we can do. Just be the best version of you, and knowing whatever you want, whatever you can be, no matter what it takes. But be the best version of you. Like always, like I always tell people, be the person that you want people to look up to. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, but it's like, wow, I want to be just like her. I want to be just like him, but be that person, have that grace, have that confidence instilled in you. And then this way people will see it on you.
Mhm. Final question.
Mhm.
What's your personal definition of legacy, and how does MLK's example inform it?
My definition of legacy is changing my children, grandchildren lives. That's my legacy. to know that the information that I gave them, that they're going to take that information, use that information, absorb that information, and be able to pass it down to their children. That's my legacy, knowing that my purpose and my passion to be able to change people's lives is now going to be passed down to my children and my grandchildren. That's my legacy. That they're going to make a difference in this world, just like I'm making a difference in this world.
So, in closing, what are some of the words of encouragement, words of wisdom that you'd like to leave with our audience, as well as how they can connect with you on social media, your website? What would you like for them to know?
Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. King, for having me this evening. I appreciate it. What I like to say is, and I tell myself this all the time, because this is something that was instilled in me when I was a young child, and that came from my mom. Don't quit. I tell my children that. I tell my students. I tell my grandchildren, don't quit. No matter what you're going through, don't quit. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have tough days. Just don't quit. You have a purpose. You have a vision. You have a mission. You want to change the world. Continue with that vision, with your mission, with your purpose, with your passion. My passion is being able to educate others the information that was given to me. That's my passion. My purpose is I love to help people, as far as mentoring. So what I would say is don't quit. That would be the most important thing. No matter who you are, don't quit. I actually can be, I'm actually on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, so my social media will be LinkedIn. You can connect with me on Facebook. I do have a website. It is called www.freeyourmoneynow.com. Because who don't want free money? freeyourmoneynow.com. You can connect with me there. And so those would be the two places. On my website, it's a calendar link. You can connect with me. I do a 30-minute strategy session with you to kind of figure out, what's best for you, because every client is different. And then every Thursday, 7 p.m., I have an Eventbrite. It's called Financial Freedom Roadmap. 7 p.m. Eastern. My next one is next Thursday, August 28th, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's on Eventbrite. It's called Financial Freedom Roadmap. You can go on there, sign up. It'll give you a link, and then I will be there to guide you through the basic foundations of financial literacy.
Well, I want to thank you for coming back to the show again, and this has truly been another great moment. I appreciate you so much for the things that you do and your contributions to the community to help in building it. Because as you mentioned earlier when we started, that is so important. And I think with so many of us, that, we don't have like the resources like some other folk that could actually be doing this, but it's the point in doing it and doing it from the heart to make the impact and the difference is what really matters.
Right.
And so I want to really thank you for that, because, I think that mentorship program that you're doing with those young girls has got to be truly one of the most exciting and best things that they could ever have done. And I'm sure that they more than appreciate you for that.
Yeah. I mean, I learn from them just like they learn from me. So it's a two-way street. I'm there to mentor them. They're there to mentor me. Things that, they're millennials and Gen Zs, things that I don't know. They're Gen Alphas. I'm like, okay, I've never heard that before. It's a two-way street when it comes to mentoring. But I always tell people, being a cheerleader, listening and hearing is the most important thing as well.
Yes. And so for those of you that are watching, you guys should have gotten a great message from what Cheryl just was putting out to us this evening. And that most important thing is that she said is don't quit. If it's in your mind and if it's in you and it's what you want to do, if you start, don't quit. Because if it's what you want to do, then you need to make sure that you want to put the skin in the game. If you put the skin in the game by starting it, that means that you're doing it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing it for that reason, you need to see that out to its fullest, which means you've got to make that commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, this is where if you need that assistance, you need that mentor to help you with that push. That is one of the things that she does, is to make sure that you continue on your quest to where you're trying to go. That's what we're trying to do with all of our communities around the country, because it's so important that we put that stock back into, especially the young kids. Because if we don't do it for the kids, who else is going to do it? So if you learn that, and you learn more than anything, just please make sure that for those of you, especially those 8th graders that need to do that application, if you're in the state of Florida, make sure reach out, have your parents reach out and try to learn how to actually get that application process going. Because mentorship at that age means a whole lot, especially when it's coming from someone outside of your family that's going to put that stock in you to really continue that motivation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I say, let's do what we need to do. Let's get up. Let's get it going. Let's get that fight going on. Let's do what we got to do. Mm-hmm. Let's build up these children, and let's make tomorrow's years coming forward. Let's make them as prosperous as we can make them. Mm-hmm. For those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, if you have not yet subscribed, I would hope that you would please give us that support, and please support us by actually subscribing and getting all of the notifications so that you may catch each and every show live, or you can go back and watch all of the previous recorded shows and get all of that information that's going to be plentiful for you to learn your life experience and to build what you need to build. For those of you that have not yet subscribed to our communities, I want to thank you, Cheryl, for subscribing to the community, because the community is going to, as it's growing right now as we speak, it's one of those things that, again, is where we need to build. We work from within. Mm-hmm. So as you get there and you learn that, yes, you can do your posts, you can, learn from other people's posts, you can connect, you can even start networking on your own. But when you start networking, that means even if it's business to business, if it's someone that's inspired to be an entrepreneur that wants to speak to a business person, you can speak to that person, and you can learn what you need to learn. Again, we're being fruitful to help all of our communities to grow. Mm-hmm. So if you have not done that yet, please subscribe. Please get in the community, because you can also watch the show from there as well. I want to thank you all for spending this time with us as we have had another great show. And join us next week as we have another great week of shows that will be as plentiful for you guys as this week. Thank you again, Cheryl. And for everybody that was watching, you all have a great weekend. And again, tune in next week here on America in Black and White, as we are going to continue to color conversations on America's canvas. Y'all have a great weekend.